the best part of this testimony was when they actually went to the UK and they went to see their grandparents. The kids went to see their grandparents. And they were talking. She told them about me. She told the grandparents about me. And those ones were trying to wonder, like, who is this girl? Who's this girl that has this magic hands, magic arts? Honestly. And they were, when they were called, they would like say I should talk to the baby and she'd be excited to see me. And then when they came back from UK, the baby was crying, she was fuzzy, and the mother was like, okay, can I just have her? And the moment she got to me, the grandmother on the phone was asking the British woman, like, who is this girl? Like, what exactly did she do to make that girl keep quiet? Myself, if you asked me, I had no idea. So she just replied that, like, that is just fair. That is, we don't know too. We don't know. She's just so good with babies. And I was like, well, maybe not so good.
They don't know.
You don't know that there's a presence that actually goes with me.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
That makes everything fall in place. And God be the glory. Till I left there. As a matter of fact, when I was leaving, she just could not cry. But you know, she was like, I know you have to go on in life. I know. And I've always known from you that this is very temporal, but just make sure you always come by to visit. Don't children. And I was like, okay.
See how God gave you a family, a British family.
That was how God gave me a family. Believe me, that was how God gave me a family. Because even after I left, I actually left to go do internship at MIA. That was the next part of my journey. That was when I started my internship. And when I was to leave, it wasn't like they didn't say they would stop me from working or anything. It was just time to move again.
Move on.
And this time around, it took more faith to even move. Because you know already, you want to say that God has given me a family that likes me. The pay they're giving me is not bad. They're taking care of me. It's like they look out for me and everything. So
it is easier to say you want to stay there.
It is easier to say, let me tarry here. And then a lot would have gone wrong. A lot would have gone wrong. So it was time for me to go to MIA and go to a place where they wouldn't be paying me because it was on internship. So I was asking the father, like, okay, so how am I going to go about this? Because
survive.
And then the British family were like, okay, if I'd be interested in, because it was now difficult for them to get someone to come take care of the child.
To fit in. You know, you created such a huge
the gap was there. And she was like, will I be willing to like come back and just be doing part-time? So it's like
part-time.
We'll be paying you per hour, which doesn't always happen in Qatar. It's always flat salary or
minimum wage.
He offered to be paying me per hour and be paying my transport fare, toll fro.
Oh.
Yes. So it was like it wasn't as much as I had, because of course the hours I used with them was less, but it was enough and even more than what I needed to pay my rent and feed me again. So it was like, okay, I have taken you to the next place, but I still have provision for you, linking to where you are living. God writes amazing script, I must say. Because sometimes you just don't know what will come next, and then it just shows up and you're like, I never knew this was supposed to be a thing, but this also works because
total dependence.
Oh my God. and I would come, I would work my hours, and I'll go for my internship. And there are times that I have to probably show up in the morning for my internship. I actually told them in Mia that I'll be coming in the afternoon so that I'd be able to do the work in the morning with the woman. And then when she comes back from work, she takes over from me. But then there were times that I had to also be at Mia in the morning. And she would say, oh, don't worry, it's fine. It's okay. I'll take care of it. And she would say, just go and do what you have to do. So it was like, right. I see. There's no words to enough to appreciate God. It's not enough. So when people actually just message me and say, how are you fending over there? And I'm saying, I'm doing well. I'm
Even me, I remember my husband was asking me, he said, how is Stephen? How is Stephen surviving? I said, I don't know. I'm sure some grace is carrying this girl.
My dear, there was manna falling from heaven for me, because I don't know what else I can call it. That was just showing up at any point in time. And I would always see his hand that he says, this is the next thing to do. And the moment I get on it, like I see it that indeed it is from the instruction is indeed from me. And I remember those times when I leave the woman's place and I'm going home, I do prayer walk. I walk from the train to my room, because the moment I get to my room, mostly I just want to sleep. So that's like the time I used to keep up praying. So I'll just be praying, and I'll just be asking about, like, okay, I'm seeing your hands all the way, but human beings sometimes we are just
yes.
like,
Oliver Twist, you always want more.
want more. I want to know the other things that you have for me. What is going on? Okay, I like the way it is going, but I want to peep into, like, what is coming, like what exactly is it? And then
I think that's the season I am in now.
Most of the times
I get it.
I'm sure he's just smiling, and it's just like, just calm down, don't worry, I got you on this journey, don't worry. And most times I'll just prayer work and go to my room, just sleep. Again, the next day I'll do the same thing. And then there was this supposed job that came out for me. It was supposed to be a QM job. I think you knew about it, the one that Augustine and I went for the interview together.
Yeah.
Yes. It was my brother's classmate, and she was just like, okay, there's an opening, do you want to? And I was like, okay, let me go for the interview. And she was like, do you have any, like, classmate around? And that was how Augustine's prayer was answered, because that job was not really for me, to be honest, but it just had to come to me. That was what I learned eventually. And at first I couldn't understand, because the slots were different. They needed ladies, they needed guys. So Augustine just happened to fit in where
for the guy.
Yeah. And then for me, I was asking the father, like, okay, they actually said they needed a woman, and I applied for this thing. I'm supposed to get this thing, but it didn't come true. I know what he asked me. He said, did I say it's for you?
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm sorry I assumed.
Okay.
Because I was like, oh, this is a good position, working with you and permanent position, good pay, everything. And I was like, did I actually tell you that it's your job? You assumed by yourself. And well, you're not yet where you're going to.
Okay.
My dear, I must say it was difficult, because
I know. I can relate. I truly can relate.
I took a deep breath and I was like, don't tell me there's still more to come to this journey than I am thinking. I thought I already got to where I was going. And it was like, no, not yet. And then I had to keep trusting. I kept doing the internship, and the favor of God that came through the internship, my dear, A lot of our classmates had gone to do that internship. And a lot of people already did the internship before me. So the moment I applied for the internship and I got chosen, the head of library already told me, see, I'm not going to raise your hopes. Uh,
Mhm.
so there's no vacancy. It's just that if you have this, it can help you with your building experience and all of that. But I am not promising you a job. And I just smiled and looked at her and I was like, you don't have to be the one to promise me. I don't need a promise from you exactly. And I know,
He
I know,
doesn't know who brought you there.
honestly, I mean, I already took charge. The moment I was going there, I was like, as my feet is stepping here, hey,
Ah,
something must happen in this place. So, because I know you brought me here for something. And so it's something must
yeah.
happen. I don't know what exactly it would be. So I was just walking
Mm.
normally and there was a vacuum that was waiting for me there. And that was they needed someone who could speak English that could work with kids.
Oh God.
And I just came in and just fit in into the
Mm.
into the
Mm.
space that was left for me
I'll
because
I'll
every
tell you about, I'm just listening. You know how God works, eh? Okay. I'm not sure I've said my own employment. Yeah. It's similar.
see when I
It's
when
called prepared blessing.
honestly, because all the people that actually came before me, every one of them were into the technical services, cataloging, a
Oh,
lot of other parts of the library. I was not doing all
wow.
those ones. I came for a different thing entirely. And they didn't know that they had that vacuum until I came. How does that sound? Before they have been,
It was hidden.
it was.
It was like God was just hiding it for you.
So immediately I just showed
And that
up
was
and then,
exactly what we had wanted to do. Was it the same thing we were going to, the position given to Augustine? It was a different one.
yeah, that's a different thing entirely. It's something about the museum, like handling objects
Mm.
and working with objects in the
You
museum.
know how we want
It's
to
not even
settle down for anything when we are struggling? Meanwhile, God is looking at that thing that He knows that He has prepared for that we will love. But when they
yeah,
struggle, when the going gets tough, you just want to settle for anything that comes.
exactly. Like
Hmm.
let me just do this for the meantime. I would try to look for another position while I have this in my hand and do this. And God was just looking at me with the calculation, like I am the one directing this script. It is not you. And then I quickly learned my place because I was like, okay, let's have breaks when you follow instruction. Because if I had already asked if that job was for me, maybe I wouldn't be heartbroken when I didn't get it. But then I just
Yeah.
assumed by myself that, oh, if this opportunity is coming, then maybe it's just for me. And God is saying, to be honest, how does it go with the training that God has been giving me, working with kids, working, how does that position, to be honest, how does it fit into it? If it's not just that,
I mean, is just similar to my own story. So similar.
honestly. And I was like, maybe it's true. This thing doesn't even go. It's not matching. This is where I'm supposed to be. Though at the time it was like it's unpaid
At the
positions. Like,
time.
I mean, why do I have to go through this kind of thing when there's a
Yeah.
job that can pay? And quickly I learned my place and I settled into that. And decided story time. The first time I did story time, the head of the library was like, wow, wow,
Hmm.
this is like what we have been looking for.
Mm.
This is like what we have been looking for. Someone that can, tell stories this way. And
Captivate, yeah, the children.
some people were asking me my first degree, like, how come I just crossed to libraries? What am I now going to do with my first degree? What's going to happen? Am I ever going to go into drama? Am I ever going to go into theater? And then I saw where my theater skills was needed because I didn't know that I was being dramatic until I was told, because it was a natural for me. It was my natural way of doing things, that they were happy, like, oh, she used props, she used this, she used that. And so when my 3 months was about to like elapse, that was when this feedback from this Augustine's job came out, and that was, a lot of things were happening at the time, because I was already thinking, okay, maybe if I finish from this internship, I'll just go to that job. And then it appears that, okay, I'm finishing the internship, and there's really
you have planned so beautifully for yourself.
I had
and that is exactly what God wants to disappoint.
I'm sure
in fact, you don't owe yourself.
I'm sure you enjoyed it. And I remember something happened. I remember that very day that the response came about the job. It was so painful. Oh my God. It was,
I know,
because of the expectation I had. It was so painful. And I was coming out of the train station, and I just busted out crying for a long that had not happened to me. Like I've been like taking charge of everything.
Broken,
like, I got this.
Broken. You were broken.
At that point, I broke down completely, and I was like, God, so what do you have for me? So where is my lot? That was the question I asked. Where is my lot? And he spoke to me in a way that,
and you know how God does these things.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you in. If we are to be somebody, a stranger that you didn't know, even the pain is less. But this is the same person that you brought in yourself. You know how God does those things to break us
completely. And I was not,
there's something in our heart that
I was not allowed to get angry at that. I had to learn in a very difficult way, because I was like,
I can relate.
To be honest, I will not lie to you. I was thinking like, okay, was it because I brought someone else to, but then I was like, no, it's not. I mean, it's like the slots were there, so it's not supposed to be. But then I was like, okay, I choose to love instead. I choose to love. I love the fact that the opportunity still went to somebody I knew, and glory be to God for him. I wish him all the best. But to be honest, that took a lot of strength. It took a lot of strength.
I know.
Oh my God.
No.
The tears I cried that day. We used to say that tears really doesn't move God. But I learned something different that way. That day, it was, the tears was different. It was different from trying to whine, trying to be like a spoiled child or something. The tears came from the depths of hurt. Like, God, what is going on? Where else am I supposed to go now to look for opportunity? How am I supposed to do it? What was I supposed to do? I did what was right by telling this person that there was position. So should not feel bad for doing it. So what do you have for me? And he spoke to me in a way that is very rare. So when people actually ask me if there's the audible voice of God, there is. I experienced it that day. The tears moved him to go out of his way. I felt that wave, like from this here. He spoke and he walked past. It was like, I felt when somebody walks behind you and you feel the
presence,
that breeze. And it was like, he just gave me a scripture, and he said, he said, can I cause you to labor and not bring to birth? That was what he said. My dear, it was heavy. That word, despite the fact that it was the unusual way, I still struggled to have it in, like to like internalize it, because I was I was hurt beyond measures. And I think it was the reason he had to come at that point, like, so that this girl's heart probably doesn't get corrupted. Because I mean, it's not the usual. You can have inner witnesses, you can have things, and the way he asked that thing was like, don't you know what I'm capable of doing? Is it possible I made you through all these things that you went through and I will not settle you? It's not
because I didn't have any plans.
It's not possible. And that day I went to sleep. As soon as I got home, I just went to sleep. And the next day, while I was sleeping, I woke up the next day and I had this dream that my dad was congratulating me on a saying, oh, we bless God for what happened yesterday for the position. Like I saw the WhatsApp message. And then when I woke up, I was like, okay, what is going on? What exactly is happening? So the next day to that, I just saw the head of the library's message. And she was just like, Tife, I just asked the deputy director now for a position, though it's with this other company, but I don't know if you'll be interested. They said they'll be paying you.
Interested, chat.
My sister, they're asking me if I'm interested. You're not supposed to be a question.
I don't know.
You know, the way it came through was like, she already said there's no position. And truly, there was no position. It wasn't like she was lying. But at that time, I don't know what move God did between whatever happened 3 days before and that very day. It was like there was something that
all planned.
Something changed, and I was like, okay, what's suddenly going on? Like, I've been the one applying for jobs, people have been calling me for interview. Now this is a job that doesn't have interviews. Like, do you hope you don't mind taking this position for now and then? And I was like,
mind care.
Times ask me my That's deputy director. He was like, he just said, don't worry. She was still saying, do we have budget for it and all of that? And he just said, talk to the HR of that department and just tell them that you want to bring Tife in. And that was it.
Wow. I was just like that.
Job. So the beauty that came with that job is that, you know, when the company itself like recruits people, the approach is different. Now I am recommended for them to make me a staff. So the respect that came with that till today, the way they address me it's different from the way they address the others. Because the email that was sent to them is due to the activeness of Miss Tife in our team.
Wow.
We notice that if she leaves, it will be very difficult to find a replacement. We need you to do all the paperwork, and she even tried to say we want her as soon as possible. So it's like, do everything within your capacity to make sure that she joins this team.
God has put pressure on systems.
Yes, so my sister. Pressure.
By fire, by force.
By thunder. Make sure that this girl becomes part of this team. And that was how they started my processing. Everything went like, you know, it wasn't me begging for job. It was them it was like they felt like they were hungry to have a person like me come to work in their company, because it's a pride to them too. That
you don't need them. It's that they are needing you.
They are the ones that need me. So it's like, this is what we can offer for now, you know, like we don't
Hey, do we get?
Get the gist. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, for the meantime, I could sign the contract. When I knew that, okay, this is really God. This is really God helping my journey, to be honest, helping my journey. So now that I have shared my journey to the point of getting a job, it will be nice for you to also share your journey to that point, because I am really I'm inquisitive. I really want to
I don't
know.
know. I'm just thinking it's the same thing that was happening when we were back at the hostel. It's the
Okay.
same thing that I'm reading. I can see very similar experiences. The only thing is that what you went through before, I am not going through it. Like there's a particular season that I am in. And today it was just like God
Wow.
sitting in front of me and giving me interpretation of the season that I am in.
To be continued. Turn on your notification for next episodes. Like, follow, and share.